This video will show you an example of the OpenAuth authentication handshaking process with Reverb.com. In this example, I'm going to create an app called Pedal Trader that allows users of Reverb.com to trade pedals with each other. So the first thing you want to do as a developer, you want to register your app with Reverb.com. And to do this, it's very simple. You log into the website with your account and you create your application, and Reverb.com will return a client ID and a client secret. So the idea is that the client secret is private and you never want to share that with anybody. So once you do this, it's a one-time thing. You do it once. The next thing you want to do is you want to build the logic that obtains an authentication token so that users can use your app with their Reverb account. So what you want to do is your app will redirect the user, passing in the client ID that was obtained from Reverb.com, passing in a redirect URI, which is specified, which is a URI that lives on your domain somewhere. So in this example, here's my redirect URI. It's www.myapp.com/auth/reverb. And then you want to pass in the scope. So the scope represents the functionality that you want to expose, the functionality of the Reverb API that you want to use. And that list is specified on the reverb-api.com website. So here are all of the scopes available to us. We can read feedback, we can write feedback, we can read listings, we can write listings, and so on and so on. So in this example, our scope is read listings and write listings. So once we make this call to reverb.com with our client ID and our redirect URI and our scope, Reverb will display this message to the user. The application Pedal Trader is requesting these permissions. Read all of your listings, create, update your listings. So if the user is okay with this, the user will click authorize and Reverb.com will call back to our redirect URI, passing in a code. And the next thing we want to do is we want to obtain an authentication token. Or an auth token. So we specify a client ID that we obtained when we first registered our app. We're going to pass in our client secret that we never share with anybody. Then we're going to pass in our code that we don't want to share with anybody that we obtained from here. And we're going to pass in our redirect URI, which is right here. So once we make this post method to reverb.com/OAuth/token, this call will return an access token. And this is the token that we use in all of the API calls. So once we obtain our token, we can use our token. So let's say we want, the user wants to obtain a listings using our app. So the user will obtain listings. Our API will call obtain listings, passing in the access token. So the API method for obtaining listings looks like it's a getter that looks like this: api.reverb.com/api/listings. It requires two headers. It requires an authorization header with the value bearer, space, and our access token that we obtained from here. And we also need to pass in the accept version 3.0. Right now, the latest and only supported version of the Reverb API is 3.0, so we must specify 3.0. And then once we make this call, the API will return a JSON listing of a JSON blob of all of the listings, and then our application will convert that JSON blob to a nice view with the UI so that the user can see the listings. So since this is an AWS channel, making this callback URI is extremely easy when you use the serverless framework. So here's my serverless YAML file. It's simply, here's my path, auth/reverb. It's a getter method. And here is my callback URI. Right now it's extremely simple. The only thing it's doing is it's parsing the code from the query string, and it's also passing a state value that you can specify later on, but I'm not using state in this example. So right now this URI just returns the code which we can use to in our REST client to call this post method to obtain our authentication token. So this is the flow. This is the OpenAuth flow, and this is how Reverb.com uses it to obtain authentication tokens.